people are not embracing reality right now, and that's a problem. For instance, Chris sent me this little gem, and I want to do my best to read. But this is a statement from the Trans Resistance Network at Resistance Trans on Twitter. By the way, I got locked out of Twitter before we started taping. Yeah, I got locked out. I think I'll be back on shortly, but I called Joe Biden a brain-dead sock puppet. That was it. Actually, the first thing that I said was he was a brain-dead F puppet, and I edited it because I'm nice. And I said he's a brain-dead sock puppet, and they locked me out for saying such hate. But this is a media statement made yesterday about the school shooting in Nashville from the Trans Resistance Network. They said, I want to read this. I want to make sure you get it. And obviously, I don't know if you can see it on that screen there, but Trans Resistance Network has been notified the shooter involved in today's church school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee was a person identifying as transgender, known from online profiles as Aiden or Audrey Hale, parentheses, he, him, close parentheses. While it's not our policy to engage publicly with news media, we believe the moment calls for a thoughtful response from our collective. We point out that today's incident in Nashville, Tennessee is not one of tragedy, but two. The tragedy today is the loss of life of 3 children and adults. We extend our deepest sympathies, heartfelt prayers to those whose families are dealing with the loss of loved ones. There's nothing we can offer that will comfort the hurt or ease the sorrow. We mourn with you. The second and more complex tragedy, forget the fact that 3 children, that 6 loved ones total are not coming home today, that all they did was innocently go to school. The more complex tragedy, according to this trans movement, is that Aiden or Audrey Hale, who felt he, that's their words, not mine, had no other effective way to be seen than to lash out by taking the life of others and by consequence, their word, himself. We do not claim to know the individual or have access to the inner thoughts and feelings. We do know that life for transgender people is very difficult and made more difficult in the preceding months by a virtual avalanche of anti-trans legislation, public call-outs by right-wing personalities, and political figures for nothing less than the genocidal eradication of trans people from society. Many transgender people deal with anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide, and PTSD. From the near constant drumbeat of anti-trans hate, lack of acceptance from family members and certain religious institutions, denial of our existence, and calls for detransition and forced conversion. All of these factors contribute to a population that is medically underserved and who often face anti-trans bias while accessing care, leading to significant physical and mental health disparities. Hate has consequences. It is a testament to the inner strength and beauty of the transgender people that despite the overwhelming odds of homelessness, job discrimination, and constant anti-trans bigotry and violence, so many of us continue to persevere, survive, and even thrive. We will not be eradicated or erased. We remind the news media to respect the self-identified pronouns of transgender individuals who come across your desk. Aiden Hale self-identified as he, him, with a he, him pronouns on forward-facing sites. We also urge you to avoid pandering to those individuals on the right who will use this double tragedy to foment fear and terror of transgender people in order to advance a political agenda of transgender elimination. Biased and sensationalized coverage of these viewpoints is both irresponsible and reprehensible. Requests for interviews will be referred back to this statement. Okay, so the real victim is a biological female, according to them, who has been misgendered and has put their pronouns as he, him on forward-facing sites. And the statement from their collective is, while they feel sorry for 6 people who lost their lives tragically, yet innocently, at a Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee, the real tragedy has been this misunderstood person. And the people who are at fault are people like me, who now listen. It's true that I make fun of the world around me. You give me the fodder with which to feed, and I will put it out there. I will have fun with it. But you would be hard-pressed to find any place I've ever said that you should do harm to any community or that you should attack or anything like that. What I have said is when it comes to affecting children, people underage, people who should not be making, those decisions should not be made for them because they're not old enough to make the decisions for themselves. Anything that affects children, whether it's a drag show, a story hour, whatever that may be, or, chemical castration, genital mutilation, when it comes to that, someone needs to intervene, step in, and put a stop to that, whether that's legislatively or places need to be banned or boycotted or shut down or exposed. But, we've never, ever, I don't even know anybody who has said, you know what, let's take all these books that contain pornography that are in the school libraries and let's take them out and burn them. We've never said that. People say, oh, you're all about book banning. We've never banned any books. It's not a banned book when you can still buy the damn thing on Amazon. What we've done is put the warnings out there and said, this is what's being fed to your children. This is what's being pushed and promulgated in society. So we want to be careful with that. Now, if you're interpreting that as hate, the problem is with you. Because what you're failing to do is to see that there are consequences to what you are pursuing and promoting. Yesterday is a perfect example. You have a person who is mentally ill. Regardless of how they identify, the fact that they chose as a course of action to go in and shoot up a school, innocent children, means they're mentally ill. They are mentally ill. The fact that they're dealing with what Johns Hopkins University has called a gender dysphoria and identified that, classified that, and studied it, and even concluded that that is a mental illness tells you that we're dealing with someone who needed help.